Alright, so today we get to start India. Hopefully you did your vocab cards yesterday. To start with India, we need to talk about the fact that it was one of the early river valley civilizations. We call it in the eastern river valleys. Geography of India. This right here is the subcontinent of India. You need to know the rivers. Right here we have the Indus River, it goes up. And then over here we have the Ganges River, or Ganges. Alright, so here we go again. Sorry. We have the Indus going up here. And then we have the Ganges down here. We also have two mountain systems you need to know about. Up here, we have the Hindu Kush Mountains. Over here, we have the Himalayas. Down here to the south, we have our two bodies of water, the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea. Now you cannot see it on here, but down here is the Indian Ocean. Do not mark the Indian Ocean up here or over here. That is not correct. Alright, a subcontinent. India is a subcontinent of Asia. A subcontinent itself is a large landmass within another continent. The subcontinent today includes India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. The Himalayas are what separate it from the rest of the Asian continent. The Himalayas are the world's tallest mountains. With mountains to the north and a desert to the east, and the Indian Ocean to the south, it enabled the Indus Valley civilization to be protected from invasion. Again, from the map, to the northwest you have the Hindu Kush Mountains, and then to the northeast you have the Himalaya Mountains. The Indus River is the river that lies in the west, and the Ganges River is the river that lies in the east. Between that you have flat, fertile plains. Also with the Ganges River, it is considered to be a very sacred river of India. Southern India is a dry plateau. It is called the Deccan Plateau, and it is too surrounded by mountains. And then on each coast of the south of India, it is a narrow strip of tropical land that is called the Ghats, G-H-A-T-S. India suffers from a constant weather issue of monsoons. Monsoons dominate their climate and therefore their environment and their culture. A monsoon is a seasonal wind. In the winter, the winds that blow in are dry. But in the summer, they bring rain, they're wet, and that's going to lead to flooding, as we've seen with the other river valley civilizations. Challenges that they faced were the fact that there are floods that are unpredictable, just like Mesopotamia. They didn't know when it would rain and when it would not. They had floods, they also had droughts. They had both ends of the spectrum. And with these floods, the river would constantly change course. So it wasn't like an immediate effect where all of a sudden, oh my gosh, look at the river, it's in a different spot. It's over time, it's going to change. The Indus Valley civilization, as you can see highlighted right here, the two main cities being Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. The Indus Valley civilization influenced an area larger than Mesopotamia or Egypt. About 7000 BCE, we know that they had agriculture and domesticated animals. This is based on artifacts and fossils left behind. By 3200 BC or BCE, agriculture began along the Indus River. The Indus Valley civilization also had planned cities, something that no other civilization did. They built cities of brick, laid out in a grid-like system. They also had plumbing and sewage systems. There's actually an archaeologist at this point in time trying to recreate these brick homes that they had. The two main cities, again, of the Indus Valley were Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa. Harappa. This is where the Indus Valley gets a lot of its name. It is called the Harappan civilization as well as the Indus Valley civilization. Harappa was built on a mud brick platform, and the purpose of that was to raise it up to protect it against floodwaters. very similar to beach houses. Rarely do you see a beach house that lays right there on the ground. Most of them are built on slats. The brick walls also protected the city and the citadel. The citadel is the center of the city. So when we talk about Mesopotamia and the ziggurat, it's very similar to that. And their streets were 30 feet wide and laid out in a grid-like pattern. The rows of houses were separated by lanes. So again, our first evidence of streets. Also, houses in the Indus Valley civilization were the first ones to use bathrooms. We know that they actually had the oldest plumbing system in the world. Other aspects of their culture, they had a writing system that had over 400 symbols. Imagine R26, what we need to know, and they had over 400. Because their writing was so complex, we do not know specifics about their culture. It's been too difficult to decipher the writing. From what historians do know, however, they did not have social classes. Everyone was created equal. It is also known that they used animals in their daily lives and that they used toys. The first evidence of toys in history come from the Indus Valley civilization, including a chessboard. In terms of religion, priests were the highest group linked closely to the rulers. Usually they would be related to one another. And their artifacts suggest that they shared many cultures or aspects of culture with the Hindus. They also traded with people of the Fertile Crescent, Sumer, Babylon, Hittites, those groups. The Indus Valley declined around 1750 BCE, though there is no concrete evidence as to why or how. Scientists and historians believe that the three different reasons that could have been the decline that did not make sense were earthquakes, floods, or the depletion of the soil. With depletion of the soil, there's not going to be nutrients to be able to grow the food to support the people living in the region. And then in 1500 BCE, a group called the Indo-Aryans migrated and became the dominant civilization. The Aryans or Indo-Aryans were a group of people known as Indo-Europeans, and they arrived in the Indus River Valley through the Khyber Pass, K-H-Y-B-E-R. The Khyber Pass is located in the Hindu Kush Mountains. It was the only way to enter into India at this point in time. The Aryans did not have a written language, but they spoke a form of Sanskrit. One of their sacred writings is called the Vedas. The Vedas tell historians a lot about the history and culture of the Aryan people. And the Vedas will become one of the sacred writings of the Hindu faith. It is an oral collection of prayers, hymns, and rituals. The Mahabharata is an oral epic poem of over 106,000 verses that also reveals a lot about the Aryan culture. It talks about Aryan kings and the way that they would get their subjects to work the land. The Aryans were polytheistic, meaning they believed in many, many gods. And Brahmins or priests would offer sacrifices to the hero gods, one of them being Indra, known as the god of war and thunder, and Agni, the god of fire. And the Dasas or untouchables would worship the life-giving gods like Shiva. As the Aryans expanded their settlement, kingdoms arose, and they were very small until we get the Magadha kingdom. The Magadha kingdom united most of India and would spread out across the northern section of India by about 100 BC.